All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. So, we're going to update you on myself a little bit first. We are less than 3 weeks away from the big day now, 20 days from the wedding day. So, it's getting closer and closer. We're counting down. This rain outside is absolutely killing me. It's got to stop. It's raining literally every day. This has got to be the rainiest year we've had. If it's not, it will be before the end of the year. So, shout out to all the Mobilians out there. I know y'all struggling like I am. So today I want to get it on here and talk to y'all a little bit about how to track your macros. If you don't know what macros are, macro is short for macronutrients. I don't like to follow like diets. I don't really believe in a diet. So the way that I kind of go about my own nutrition and the way I would suggest to others how they should go about their nutrition is to use macro counting or counting your macros. It's a little bit more lenient to a nutrition plan because it's kind of some people will refer to it as flexible dieting because you're not necessarily eating only certain foods or like restricting yourself from eating other foods. You're setting yourself macronutrient ranges. And as long as you stay within those ranges, then you're good on whatever it is you're eating. First and foremost, we're just going to get into like what your macronutrients are. Number one, proteins, probably the most important, especially for me, because I like to build muscle. So protein is going to be your most important. Number two, you have your carbs, which most people are scared to death of carbs, which I don't know why. Like social media has absolutely scared people away from carbs for some reason. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, carbs are essential. Well, they're not essential, but you need carbs. If you're going to be training in the gym, these are what's going to fuel you to actually be able to perform in the gym. Yeah, you can use a keto diet if you really wanted to, and some people are 100% believers in the keto diet, and they will argue for the keto diet because they've actually used it and it's helped them. But for most general people, the keto diet is not very sustainable. It's very hard to commit to and actually do. It can benefit your health, but also then again, it can hold you back from actually achieving the proper health and nutrition that you need. I do not preach the keto diet. I eat carbs. I love carbs. Like, who don't like potatoes? If you don't like potatoes, I don't know what you're doing. You're not living life. You can eat potatoes in literally any kind of way you think of. Like French fries, that's literally potatoes. And then the last macronutrient is going to be your fats. Again, fats have a bad rep when it comes to the nutrition world. Fats have a 9 calories per gram. So they have more than protein and carbs. Protein and carbs are both four calories per gram. Some people get scared away from fats. Like a lot of people try to eat a low fat diet, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you still need fats. Like there's healthy fats out there that you need to incorporate into your diet because they're essential. Like you have to have fats, you have to have carbs, and you have to have protein. So now that we got like the basics of what the macros are, we're going to talk about why should you track your macros. Tracking your macros is another way of counting your calories. Most people, when they first start dieting, that's kind of how they start. They'll start by counting their calories. And yes, counting calories can be a great way to lose weight because it makes you more aware of like how many calories you're taking in throughout the day. And it kind of keeps you to a certain limit. Like say you set your calorie goal to 2,000 calories and you just want to stay under that. Yes, that's a good way to lose weight. But when you do macro counting, it actually is a little bit more in-depth version of calorie counting. And I prefer macro counting over calorie counting because you can absolutely splurge on just calorie counting and still stay under your calorie goal. But with macro counting, you can't do that. Like you have to eat a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, and a certain amount of fats every day. If you do like if you were just doing calorie counting, you could just not eat all day, and then at the end of the day, just stuff your face with fried chicken and ice cream, and yeah, you would still be under your calorie count, but you wouldn't be providing your body with the proper nutrients that it needs to function properly, to build muscle properly, to regulate your hormones properly. That's why I like to do macro counting. It's a little bit more in depth. Yes, it's a little bit harder. It's going to be harder at first, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it over time. Like the easier it'll get and the better you'll get at actually tracking it by actually just like eyeballing your food and knowing what macronutrients are in that meal. So like once you do it for a while, you won't have to sit there and weigh out every single meal or track every single meal. You kind of you'll grow with it along like over time as you do it. And it's a lot more sustainable than just trying to follow like a restrictive diet or something that like only eating certain foods or cutting out certain foods. That's why I like the macronutrient style of things because it's more sustainable in the long run. Counting calories versus counting your macros, you have to understand that there's a difference between fat loss and weight loss. A lot of times those terms get used interchangeably, but they're not. I wouldn't use those the same way. So there's different variables that kind of help you achieve the results with these two. So weight loss is a result of just being in a calorie deficit. And when you're in a calorie deficit, this can cut into your fat stores, which is what you're going for, but it can also cut into your muscle stores. So this is not what we want to do. We want to provide our body with the proper protein it needs to hold on and maintain to that muscle that you've been working hard for in the gym. Taking in less energy throughout your day than your body burns is an easy way to get into a weight loss state. Now, fat loss, it's a little different. You can trigger fat loss by tracking your macronutrients. This is going to give you a better understanding of how your body responds to the key nutrients that it needs. Each of your macros, protein, carbs, and fats, they're going to play a unique role in your health and in your fitness and your performance in the gym. So you need to get the right balance of these three every day. And then depending on what your goals are, they're going to kind of differ a little bit. And everybody's different. So macronutrient levels are not be the same for everybody. By counting your macronutrients, you can fuel your workouts more efficiently by giving your body what it actually needs, and this will over the long run will help you achieve like better results. So that's why it's important to track macros over tracking your calories. But when it comes to tracking your macros, the first step that you want to do is you want to determine your macronutrient needs or levels. So depending on what your goals are, you need to determine what macronutrients you need to fall, like what percentage range you need to fall within with each macronutrient. Like this is where I said it's going to differ a little bit between if your goals are to lose fat, if your goals are to build muscle, or if your goal is just to maintain the weight that you're at now. So you'll have different starting points for each of these. Obviously, if you want to build muscle, you're going to eat a little bit more protein. And then depending on the type of body type you have, male, female, it's all going to play a role. If you don't know how or what macronutrients, like what you should set your levels at, quick and easy, like simple way just to get a base idea is to go on Google and just type in macro calculator and just pick one of them. There's a ton of them on there. Just pick one, pick a free one. Don't have to pay for anything. It'll like ask you a few questions about your body type, your age, your sex, all that kind of stuff, what your goals are. And then it'll give you like a generic percentage that you should stay within. And that would be a good place to start. I would start there. And then as you do it for a while, you'll kind of see how your body adapts to those. And then you can kind of change them depending on where you want to go, like where your goals are, things like that. Number two, you want to get the right tools or like however you're going to track your macros physically. So what I suggest, because we're in the 21st century now, there's an app for it. The app that I use is actually called MyFitnessPal. You've probably heard of this. If you've ever been on any kind of diet before, you've probably used MyFitnessPal. It's very, very popular. It's probably the most popular one. If there's another one, y'all let me know. I really don't know. But yeah, I use MyFitnessPal personally. There is a free plan. You can use a free plan. It's not as you can't go in as much detail with the free plan. So if you're really serious about your diet, go ahead and get this subscription. It'll be worth it because you can really dial in your nutrition. You don't have to use the app though. If you're more traditional, you just use a pen and paper, like use a log. You don't have to get crazy with it. The main thing you really want to focus on is just actually tracking them. Like track, and when I say track them, you have to track everything. You can't just put like your main meal. Like you have to put everything. The oils that you cook it in, the toppings, the sauces you're dipping it in, like seasonings. You need to maybe not seasonings. Some seasonings have calories in them, but yeah, you want to track everything. Track your water, all this. the reason I like the app better is because it already has foods like pre-installed in there. So like you can literally just search up the brand of the food that you ate or whatever, or just like the generic, like say if you had chicken breast, you can just type in chicken breast, it'll come up, it'll have all the macronutrients like already laid out for you and you can just select it. So that's why I like the app. It makes it super easy. And then number three, I kind of hit on this a little bit already, is you want to actually log it every day and be as specific as possible as you can. So you'll want to keep track of every single thing you eat and every single thing you drink, because as we know, drinks have a lot of calories, like especially if you're drinking sodas, they have a lot of calories. So every little sip or bite that you take, any little snack you have, record it because it's going to play a role in your daily macros. You want to note the actual serving size you're using. Don't to use a serving size, you're going to need measuring cups, a food scale. A lot of like nutrition labels already have it all like labeled on the box or whatever it is that you're using. So that's a pretty convenient way you can track them. Make sure you include all the ingredients. Like if you're making a meal where you mix several things together, include all the ingredients that go into that meal, like the toppings, the seasonings, the cooking oils. They're all going to impact your macronutrient levels. So it's important to include them all. You may not think, hey, a few grams of fat here and a few grams of carbs there. You may not think it may have a big effect just because it's a few, but if you do that over time, it's going to be a bigger effect than you realize. If you're using any app to track your meals, make sure you search that specific brand because some things kind of differ a little from brand to brand. If you use MyFitnessPal, it'll actually have a barcode scanner on it. So you can just scan the barcode on pretty much any food, and it's most of the time it'll already be in the system. If it's not, then you can add it in the system, and then you can use it again in the future, or actually anybody else on the app can use that if you put it into the database. I just want to run through a quick little like example of a few meals, how to like track your macros. So a good like a breakfast. Here's an example of a breakfast. You do 2 scrambled eggs cooked with 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon of oil, a half a cup of oatmeal using water, and then 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So proteins 25 grams, fats 28 grams, carbs 34 grams. And if you were just writing it on pen and paper, that's kind of how you'd write it out. Or if you did it on the app, just input each one of those. And most of the time, it'll track the proteins, carbs, and fats for you. Lunch, grilled turkey burger, baked sweet potato fries, side salad, 1 tablespoon of low-fat vinaigrette. So that's kind of how specific you want to get. Once you literally go down to the 1 tablespoon, 22 grams of protein, 16 grams of fats, 45 grams of carbs. And dinner, 4-ounce grilled flat iron steak, 6-ounce steamed brown rice, 4-ounce steamed veggies, proteins 30 grams, fats 8 grams, carbs 57 grams. So that's all it is. Just write it out, input it in your app, however you want to do it. It's kind of a lot of work at first, especially if you're cooking your own meals. You kind of a lot of times you have to actually weigh out your food or use measuring cups, things like that. And it can be kind of time consuming, but like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if you start doing it, you'll get better over time. And if you eat a lot of the same foods, you'll already know like how you can kind of eyeball it and see what the nutrient macros are for each meal. If you're like me, you'll meal prep your meals for lunch or whatever, and so you'll already have the macros laid out. And you want to do it again, so it gets easier with time. You get better at eyeballing stuff. It's worth it in the long run because if your health is really important to you, it's worth it to take the extra little bit of time to weigh out your food. It's not that hard. It's not that big of a deal. You just got to actually do it. If your health's important, you'll do it. That's basically how you track your macros. There's not much to it. Some tips on how to track your macros is take a flexible dieting approach to it. Don't be too strict on it. As long as you're staying within your macronutrient levels, you should be good. The good thing about macros is you can still kind of have those sweets or whatever when you want to. You can, as long as they fit within your macros, it's good. And as long as you're eating it in moderation, don't get crazy with it. Don't go above and beyond when you have a little piece of cake or something. Just know how much you're eating, be aware, and really take in like, okay, I'm having sweets now, but if I have it now, I probably shouldn't have another one later, or I shouldn't go back for a second piece. A better way to do it is instead of thinking about one meal or one food, think about your whole day. Think about like your entire day. So easier to track your meals because you want to hit your goals for that day, not necessarily just for that one meal. So, for example, if you have more protein, say during your lunch, and you don't need as much in at dinner, but you didn't eat any fat throughout the day, you want to incorporate some kind of fattier food for your dinner than you did like at lunch. So think about your whole day for your macro goals. You don't have to hit your macros for every single meal, if that makes sense. So say you're gonna go out to happy hour with your friends, but that morning you ate a high protein and carb breakfast, and then at lunch you ate high protein and carb lunch. So you haven't really had any fats. When you get a food like at dinner time, try to find like a more healthy fat alternative to incorporate a few more fats into your meal. So like salmon or avocados, these are kind of healthier fats. Fish has good like healthy fats in it. So that's a good way to like think about it the entire day. Think about food instead of thinking about food as healthy and unhealthy. You want to think of it more as, oh, that's a good source of protein, or that's a good source of fat, or that's a good source of carbs. So once you start thinking of food this way, instead of thinking, oh, that's just healthy or unhealthy, it becomes easier to sustain like that balanced lifestyle while you're on the go. So like if you're eating out at a restaurant or something, you'll understand more. Hey, this is a good source of protein here, rather than, oh, that's just unhealthy food. You want to be able to still go out and enjoy meals with your friends, go out and have a good time, and you don't want to like you're not gonna pull out a food scale when you're at the restaurant. So it's just understand what's considered a good source of protein, carbs, and fats. Also, you want to learn how to like adapt to changing environments. You're not gonna be in your same like in your home, in your kitchen, cooking every meal. Like I said, you're gonna go out with your friends, you're gonna enjoy yourself. Being able to change to the different environments, different types of food that you're gonna be eating, it's gonna help you achieve like success within your diet over the long term. Don't get super crazy obsessive with your diet. I mean, you can, and you'll be probably more successful if you do. We want to create sustainable habits over time. Say you're super strict on your diet throughout the week, Monday to Friday, without any kind of leniency, you're going to be more tempted to kind of splurge on the weekends. And you don't want to do that because then you're just going to set yourself back to where you started at to begin with. So you got to find that balance. You always hear people say balance, but you really need to create some kind of balance. The best part about macro dieting is it does offer some wiggle room. Like this is going to help you decide how to like when to incorporate those daily like little cheat meals or little splurges. Like I like to splurge on the weekends. I do. I'll just be honest. But I'm able to splurge on the weekend and still see results because I am a lot more strict during the week. So I meal prep my foods during the week. I stay strict on my diet during the week that because I know on the weekend I'm gonna want to have that something sweet, or we're gonna go out to dinner somewhere and have something that's not as healthy. So that's the good thing about macro dieting is you can kind of play around with it and fit in those meals, there's not so healthy meals when you want to. Also, a good tip that really helps me, I've mentioned a little bit, is meal prepping your food. Meal prepping is easy. One, you already know what the macronutrients are for each day because you meal prep for each day. So they're all the same. So it's pretty easy to track it that way. And it helps you stick to your macronutrient goals easier because it's already made, it's pre-made. So you're gonna be less tempted to go and like get something else, buy something quick, some fast food or something, because you already have your foods made. It's already there. So you're gonna eat it. You're not just gonna make it and then not eat it. If you spent the time to sit there and meal prep it, because it takes time, don't get me wrong. But if you take that time, you're not gonna like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that. I'm gonna go get some McDonald's or something. It helps you stick to your diet better, and it's easier to track your macros because you're doing all the same meals at once. I know it can get kind of old eating the same meals, but that's why I swap it up a little bit every week. You can kind of incorporate foods in there that you enjoy more. Swap it up each week. If you like to do the same thing, hey, by all means, eat the same meals. I think that's all I got for y'all. That was just a few little tips and tricks how to track your meals, why you should track your meals, a little bit difference between calorie tracking and macro tracking. You can still see results with counting your calories. It's a good way to get started, especially if you're a newbie to the whole fitness thing or a nutrition thing. If you really want to get down to it, if you really want to see the best results, if you want to see results quicker and faster, start tracking your macros. It's going to help you a little bit more than just simply tracking your calories. what I always suggest is do something that you can actually do, something that's actually sustainable that you will stick to over time. If you can't do macro tracking, like if you're not going to stick to that, then don't do it. Do something else that's easier for you or something that you prefer. If you just prefer calorie counting, by all means, do it. That's all I got. I hope y'all have an amazing day. It's Sunday. I enjoy my Sundays, hanging out at the house, getting some work done. You know, got the house to myself. It's just me and old Grover, man. If you don't know Grover, he's our little dog that we just got. So he's in the he's terrified right now because it was raining and he hates the rain. So he's just in there scared right now. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. I enjoyed it. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace, love, protein. We out.